But, but, hello everyone and no one, and welcome to another Rotten Movie Reviews. About 20 minutes later than usual because, well, I ended up taking an old man's nap because apparently I needed it. Today, we will be reviewing the second movie of the Tremors series, Tremors 2 Aftershock. And with me, as always, is my partner in crime and a fellow undead, Tyr. How you doing?
I'm doing well.
Going with us as well. Back, hopefully feeling better. Had a hopefully cleansing week to taking the day off and that whole thing. Angela, how you doing?
I'm doing all right, sir.
All right. I think James is still trying to find a quiet place in hell to call from, but he was here. I couldn't help but make the joke.
Mm.
When you run hell, it's always quiet.
How you doing, James?
Terrible.
Well, that's
Cocytus is not the place you want to be.
yeah, usually not. I'll go ahead and switch that over to this. And with what we were talking about, like I said, Tremors 2 Aftershock made Aftershocks. Sorry. Second movie of the Tremors series, they could not get Kevin Bacon for whatever reason, but they still had Fred Ward from it. Also, obviously, still have
The dad from Family Ties.
Michael Booker.
Michael Gross as Burt Gummer, staple of the series. And they had Chris Gartin as Grady, Helena Shaver as Kate. And since this was set in Mexico, a whole bunch of Hispanic actors whose names I am not going to try to butcher.
Oh,
I'll
do
butcher
it.
him.
Do it.
Do it.
Wow.
But I will say
Cause
for
some
this
emotional
one,
damage.
even though it was like they definitely went down the more comedy route than the traditional horrors it went to, and actually making it to where you could see when the graboids were there by having them, the ground actually like have a bump up.
It's gonna
I
be a bigger
mean,
budget for this one.
oh, well, yes and no, but you already knew what the monster was, so I think with this one they kind of went the Evil Dead route, where Evil Dead 2 was very similar to Evil Dead, but they went more comedy horror or it's like action comedy horror instead of just horror. But
Well, man,
I still love the series. So Tyr, what do you think of the second movie so far?
that shit was hilarious.
Oh, hey Johnny.
What up, Hellcat? That shit was fucking hilarious. Burt Gummer's character, he's always just fucking hilarious. The conspiracy nut, the new sidekicks are fucking retard.
Oh yeah, that's why I said it was more action comedy for the horror aspect of it instead of the traditional horror. I mean, at least he wasn't Melvin dumbassness.
Yeah,
He was stupid, but he was at least okay.
Kyle was stupid.
Well, as he
Well,
said,
I think
he has a
part of
sunny
that is-
disposition. Go ahead, James.
I think a part of that is because we're all over the age of 30. Right?
Yeah.
Or have had a military training to where all the kid is washed out of us. And we're on this other side of the fence now, where we look at most 20-somethings as retarded.
Well, because
Wouldn't go to that extreme.
I wouldn't say retarded necessarily. I would say inexperienced would probably be the better term for a lot of things, and inexperienced wouldn't even be the proper term. They don't have as much life experience, is what I would go with.
They're children.
Yes and no. It's usually just that whole thing that they've been sheltered. So Like if you got a person who's in their fucking 40s and has been sheltered, so that they're gonna act worse than Grady.
Uh-huh.
Because I've seen that shit.
Mhm.
But then you have some of the people that, yeah, well, fuck you!
Oh, wow.
I think they went with a good spot into it, and honestly, even though the CGI is dated for so much of it, I don't think they overused the CGI and they stuck with practical effects well enough.
Yeah, but some of the CGI scenes, like when they were on top of the car, was clearly like, oh, it was a noticeable dip.
I mean, they're not all perfect, but
yeah, I get it. But it was still a good movie.
What a great time. It was fun.
I just love how, and you'll notice it, and I don't know for the TV show, but in pretty much every movie, Bert is going to have the I was denied critical, need to know information.
So that becomes his catchphrase.
Basically, I mean, it's just that whole thing that in almost every movie, I mean, like, yeah, I shouldn't say in almost, but other than the TV show, because I haven't seen that, but in every movie, there's always something new. Because, like, okay, in the next one, you have the next evolutionary cycle of them. Technically, the fourth movie is the prequel, so you actually have Bert's ancestor, who Michael Gross plays. And what's funny is he plays the exact opposite of a character he normally is. And the fifth one, they go to Africa to actually find that, if I remember correctly, that's supposed to be the birthplace of the Graveloids, so a little bit of a spoiler. And then the sixth one, they go to Canada, to where they found ones that were frozen in the tundra.
Oh, they get international.
That's all of, and then the final one currently, unless they decide to retcon the final movie because of Shrieker Island, and I still have, that's like that and the TV show is the only thing I haven't watched. Well, and then the sci-fi movie, which apparently is unavailable because that was like a 1 hour movie or something that was supposed to, like, I think retcon either everything after, I think either the third or the second movie, and it was going to start a new TV series.
Okay.
But I still just think it's a dumb fun series, and the whole thing. The first 3 movies, it's even one of the few ones to where, like, I don't hate the prequel, because, like, the Underworld series, the prequel, I mean, it's story there, but it's honestly like an hour too long.
The prequel, if we're going to really quickly jump ship, the prequel of that one made no fucking sense.
Well, all it was supposed to do was just explain something that they explained in the first fucking movie.
And they made it worse.
Yeah. So it was pointless. Like, this one goes to the whole thing for the prequel for this one, and it in my opinion is more fun. I mean,
This is a wonderfully cheesy series.
Oh yeah, it's campy as hell. In the next movie, the guy who originally played Melvin, he makes a return at the end of the movie. The woman who played Mindy, or the girl who played Mindy, she returns as an adult. Her mom is still in there. Obviously, Bert's there. One of the farmers who was in the first movie, the Hispanic farmer, well, Mexican farmer in all reality, he makes a return. So, like, they get a lot of the original cast.
That's not a bad thing.
Yeah, like, they actually did pretty decent. And, like, to spoil a little bit of the sixth movie again, you also get to meet Valentine's daughter.
Kevin Bacon's character's daughter.
Yep, Kevin Bacon and the geologist from the first one, the college student. Yeah, they got hitched and they have a daughter. Like, it's just a fun series. Like, this is like one of those other TV series or TV movie series that I can go through and I'll watch typically at least once a year. The only other one for this is like the first 4 movies of the George A. Romero Dead series. Because Land of the Dead is actually more entertaining than people give it credit for. Just Survival of the Dead and Diary of the Dead are more meh. But I love the fucking memes that have come from this movie. Well, from the Tremors series. But I think I asked you guys' opinions, and then I went off on a tangent somehow. So I'm gonna let you guys go with your opinions of the movie. Whomever would like to start, Tier, go for it.
Again, I the first time viewing this movie, and I liked it. It was, again, it was fun. It was cheesy, and it clearly had a bigger budget. I wish they would have got Kevin Bacon, but because the new sidekick was fucking retarded.
Hi, BG.
Yeah. Hey, BJ. Yeah.
Hello.
So, I do like the little the I forget what these are called. They're not the graboids anymore, but they're something else.
These ones, they give them a name in this third movie. They're called Shriekers.
Shriekers? Okay.
Which is where the name Shrieker Island.
Okay.
Yes.
Later on. But
yeah.
It is. You are going to learn that I absolutely adore cheese.
You adore what?
Cheesy movie. Like, good cheese, not like...
Well, in this one I have to go with what like Jack Cochran normally say. Like there's a big difference in the way it does it. It's like, from everything I've seen, I couldn't get behind Sharknado because while it's camp, they're not playing it straight. Like, this is more of a cheesy movie, but every actor in it is still playing it as though it was supposed to be a serious movie, and I prefer that.
Like, you can see they're not taking it super seriously, but they're taking their job as actors seriously.
Like, it's got to go one of two ways. You got to be like, oh god, I can't remember it, because it's you've had the god damn it, he played Alfred in
Michael
Caine, Sir Michael Caine in the Muppets movie, to where it's like, I think it was the Muppets
Christmas Carol,
and he plays it serious as a heart attack. And then you have Tim Curry in one of the Muppet movies, and he plays it as though he were another Muppet.
That's mostly Tim. Like, I've seen serious Tim Curry roles, but Tim Curry always somehow falls back into Pennywise. Like, he is forever Pennywise.
No.
I disagree, but that's because Pennywise wasn't the first role I saw.
I don't think he was the first role for that either, for me.
He's not the first role I saw him in. Like, I've seen him as Darkness and Legend of the Fall. That was called Legend. I've seen him as Frankenfurter from Rocky Horror Picture Show, but somehow he always falls back into being Pennywise. Like, his antics. Have you ever seen him in Red Alert, Command and Conquer? Red Alert.
I don't think so.
No.
It's a video game, and he hams it up hard.
Yeah, see, to me, he's always gonna be wasn't he the butler in Clue?
Yes.
That's the thing that I always see him.
See, Tim Curry, he actually does have range. If you look at all his work, he does do something different for each one. Him being Pennywise was him trying to entice the children. and then at the last minute, feed on all the fear at once.
Yeah.
That was his job as the clown. And he played it good.
That was what the thing was supposed, or what he was supposed to be anyway, since he's not actually a clown, he's a fucking interdimensional demon-esque thing.
Yeah, but that was his job, though, to entice.
Well, that was his job as an actor.
As he could.
It's like that was his job as an actor. The Pennywise itself was just meant to be a thing that, you know, one does feed on fear, and a whole bunch of other crap that feeds on people.
Yeah, but I mean, for me, Tim Curry he does have range. I mean, yeah, he hams it up like he did on Muppet Treasure Island. Mm-hmm. But if you look at him in McHale's Navy, he played it serious, but he still went over the top.
Oh, yeah.
You know, you look at him in Darkness. There was no cheese in that in his acting whatsoever. You look at him in Clue, he played it serious, but slapstick.
Oh, yeah.
You know, Clue had a lot of slapstick in it, and I didn't care for the slapstick antics, but there's so many quotable lines from Clue, like Blazing Saddles.
Oh, yeah.
Where all the white women at?
Oh.
Right. Like, how do you get in that position? Look, I can show you. Don't touch me.
What's really funny is Tim Curry's first actual movie was the Rocky Horror Picture Show. He had done all TV shows before that. Then he did a TV movie. And I'm trying to think where the next one was that's like I actually would have noticed him more.
I even liked his.
It was 1985.
I like his Scooby-Doo voiceover.
Yeah, he's done a lot of voices for TV shows. I mean, he's got Scooby-Doo, Paddington Bear, Long Gone Far Away. He did Mr. Curry in the TV series for 13 episodes. Apparently, Fantastic Max, The Easter Story, The Creation, Abel's Island. Like, he's got a fuck ton of stuff in there. Like, a lot of his stuff seems to be a lot of voice acting in, like, a TV role or TV movies.
He did Mighty Max?
Plausibly.
No, Fantastic Max.
Yeah, Fantastic.
It was a cartoon series that used to go on Sundays.
He was the robot clown in Batman the Animated Series, plus other voices. He was in Darkwing Duck as Taurus Bulba.
Oh, he was Taurus Bulba.
I forgot he was in Loaded Weapon 1. I haven't seen that movie in forever.
Yes, I loved him in Loaded Weapon 1. And he played that one very serious, too.
But, since we kind of got everyone else's... James, what was your opinion of the movie?
I loved it. You know, it's the perfect amount of cheese met with the perfect amount of seriousness. You know, Bert is a personal favorite of mine, but of course I'm Texan. I mean, when you get a gun nut that runs out of ammo, run out of ammunition.
I don't think
that's never happened to me before.
And how you could basically make it a dirty joke.
Yeah.
Yeah. I want to say, yeah, because after this one, other than Bert, none of Michael Gross, none of the original cast make a return. But Reba's character is referenced on more than one occasion.
Yeah.
And not even in like the worst way.
Yeah, you can tell he loved his wife.
Yeah. You can also tell he loved that HK91 as well.
Yeah.
She got that in divorce. That's kind of sad. She took his gun in the divorce, huh?
I mean, with the amount of guns they owned, it's kind of that whole thing of like, okay. I mean, I can understand loving an HK91. You got a roller delayed 308 semi-automatic rifle, so it should help absorb the recoil even more than like an AR-10. I've never gotten to shoot one though. Plus, it's an iconic gun that's been used in so many different movies. Like that was the main rifle people remember in Commando, if memory serves me correctly.
That's the one. That's the gun that he double fisted.
Plausibly. I mean, that's also a movie where they had him have a Desert Eagle as his main sidearm, and it's just like, that was dumb. Those things are not as reliable as people think.
But as far as my take on the movie, everything was good. Burt Ward sabotaged himself in the beginning when he said, "See that picture right there? It reminds me that you never get what you want."
Right.
And then at the movie, he gets what he wants, and it's like, yeah, real world ain't like that, buddy.
Oh, yeah, but it was still just the whole... he wasn't expecting it to happen. Like, he didn't think that she was a model, so it just happened to be something that was cool.
Yeah.
And he finally gets what he wants. Aww.
Well, he doesn't necessarily finally gets what he wants, because if you look at what he originally wanted, it was to be famous and not have to worry about money. And he found someone who he could actually... It's kind of like the same thing with Valentine, in the original movie, where it's like he found someone who fit with him better than what he was expecting. Because like the reason why he had the Miss October of '74 was because it was a visualization of something he thought of as perfection, basically, that he would never attain, and it most likely would be shallow and hollow. And it turns out that if you kind of look at that, actual Miss October of '74, pretty smart gal, and in a pin, was able to handle herself.
Well, all Playboy Playmates were college level and from very prestigious schools.
Doesn't necessarily mean that when it comes to a lot of other things that they're not dumber than a box of rocks.
That's true.
I know there's a lot of people that are like, oh, well, they're college educated. This was before the whole downfall of the way colleges have went. I have met some people that were really, really book smart.
But when storm and it's fixing to knock things down.
What?
Apparently we're in for a rough storm. I'll be right back.
Oh, okay.
Okay.
I was so confused there for a second. I was like, wait, what's going on?
That's James's phone. They have forgotten down the hatch.
It's not a problem. I just couldn't tell who was talking and if information was being added. I was like, wait, what?
Batten down the hatches. It's a twister coming.
Okay, so I forget where we were.
Yeah, that happens.
You were talking about... we were talking about Playboy Playmates and...
Yeah, because like I was saying, like, I've met people that have great college educations, and when it comes to a lot of those things, they're really smart. But when it comes to a lot of like regular everyday interaction and the normal things that most people would be able to do, they're fucking idiots. They could absorb the book knowledge. They just couldn't. And for quite a few of them, they couldn't even apply it.
Okay. I do tabletop games, D&D, that kind of thing. There was a girl in my old game group, who was supposedly in Mensa. She was like super brilliant. And literally every time we played,
You said, well, it's a
if we ended up on a ship, my character would have to turn around and lay hers out on the deck because she always played an archer, and her brilliant go-to was, I'm going to hail that other ship. And the DM says, how? And she says, I'm going to shoot a flaming arrow at their sail.
Oh God!
God damn it!
Yeah.
God damn
And
it!
she could not figure out why my character always ended up tackling her when she went to do that.
If you're gonna use a flaming arrow, you use it similar to how you would a flare. You don't shoot it at the people you're trying to hail. You try to put it to where they would see it, but not get hurt or not cause interference.
Exactly.
Lord, what? Why?
Because she did not understand. And she was essentially setting their ship on fire.
Yes.
I'm surprised the DM just didn't finally say, so you're attacking their ship. No, I'm hailing it. Well, if you're shooting a flaming arrow at the sail, which could potentially set the plane or the boat on fire, you're attacking their ship. Roll for initiative.
That was
You're gonna fight, yeah.
exactly how every game went.
Like you just want to pick a fight, just. Or
She literally did not understand, and I'm just, and you're smart. I'll believe that.
Or maybe she was just playing her cards like a fool.
No. She literally just did not understand what she was doing.
Okay. I guess she didn't.
I was just like...
Take another line from the movie. She's just like, I couldn't have known that. How could I have known that?
By understanding basic laws of thermodynamics.
Oh no, to that one it was just a joke.
I know. I know you were joking.
God, I still love the memes that came from that freaking scene where he shoots the shrieker, it gets exploded because of how it gets hit. And I would have to double check on that because I'm not 100% sure the 50 BMG with a solid copper round would do all of that, mainly to the of that one, but it still fuck it up, blow it up. I don't know.
I'm back.
Yay!
But my favorite I think I saw for that was them being like, oh, you know, the guy who shot Harambe, everything that happened, he's like, how could I have known? I couldn't have known that.
She's handy.
Like, how can I have known? Dunno.
And this one did, in a lot of cases, parody the first one, you know. Instead of being caught on the roof of the whole thing, instead it was the three of them on that oil thing, when in the first one it was the one chick, but she was on the small water tower.
Yeah.
I do like how they seem to have when they wanted to get up there, they just climbed on each other's back, which was kind of like, yeah, you guys are fucked. Like that was a new tactic that they'd never seen, and that was kind of.
I mean, for this movie, no one had seen the Shriekers before, so they had no idea what they were capable of.
That's true.
So that's like in a few weeks when we get to the third one. Like, I don't want to ruin anything else with that one because it just takes so much more of that whole thing, and they're just like, fuck. And BG, I think Tear's in the wrong state to get hit by a twister.
Yeah. What's going on tonight is you know where Stratford is, don't you?
Not
Rotn?
exactly.
Okay.
How close is it to Corpus Christi?
Well, we're up in the Amarillo area.
Oh, okay.
So, you remember from your time in
Yeah, I say I've been around
Columbus?
Amarillo and that.
Okay. Yeah. It's about 2.5 hours north-ish. No, I'd have to say northeast.
North adjacent.
Texas. It's basically it's a stone's throw from the Oklahoma border panhandle. It's up in that area. They had a tornado around 8 o'clock, and instead of it moving east like a normal tornado would, it was moving west, which makes for a bigger problem because it's moving in a southwest fashion. So it's fixing to hit us. We don't know if it's picked up any or whatever, but it scared my mom enough to where I had to help her back down the hatches.
Yeah, that happens. There's no issue with it. Like I said, it just threw me off. I mean, when I was living with my folks for a bit, for like a little over a year after I got out of the military, like that one always threw me off. And luckily, my folks were pretty understanding and everything, but it's the way it goes. And yeah, BG, there's actually plenty of rifles that could punch a hole through a propane tank and that whole thing. My whole thing that I was saying is because the Shrieker, if you look at it when it gets hit by the bullet, it explodes basically. And normally something like that you're going to get with like a soft point over a hollow point. So it would have had all of that penetration, yes. But that's like if you've ever shot water jugs or sodas, especially water jugs. They won't explode with your regular FMJs. They tend to explode more when you actually have the like a soft point or a hollow point because it actually starts to mushroom, so it gives it more concussive force. And there's a little more bullet knowledge for you.
The science of the bullet.
Oh, dude, like that was what sucked today. I was supposed to go to the range. Well, me and my dad went to the range, and I got to test one of my guns, which is having better function than it was. But it's a Taurus Millennium, so I'm not expecting superb performance. And it figures the one time on a Sunday at the gun range I go to, where they have their like monthly potential for a concealed carry class, they actually had a concealed carry class. So it was just laughing of the whole, man, I was not expecting people to be going to a concealed carry class on a Memorial Day weekend.
Sounds like a good time to do it to me.
Perfect time.
I mean, it is that whole thing. I mean, most people would have the Monday off as well, but still, it was just something I wasn't expecting. Oh, and all I know is I am looking forward to the next freaking Tremors movies because they are just so fun.
Oh, they're always a good time.
That's why, like I said, the first four are by far my favorite. But I don't even hate the ones that Jamie Kennedy joined in. I just had to watch the seventh one.
Jamie Kennedy is the bane of my existence.
I absolutely adored Jamie Kennedy in the Scream movie.
In the what?
The Scream movie. But those were the only movies that I liked him in.
I did not hate him in Kicking It Old School, but that is meant to be a completely dumb, cheesy comedy. And I also didn't hate him in Malibu's Most Wanted.
I
I
love
didn't hate
when
the Battle Most Wanted or Kicking It Old School, but he ruined his career with the mask.
Oh yes, Mask 2 was one of the dumbest career choices he made because it
Yeah,
just
it was.
wasn't. It was something that didn't need a sequel. In all reality,
I didn't like the
Uh,
first one, so the sequel wasn't.
I didn't hate the first one, but the second one did not. The second one did not need to exist.
how'd you do it? Doing a sequel without Stanley Ipkiss was stupid. Doing a sequel without
Well,
Jim Carrey was stupid.
for that whole thing, Jim Carrey's usually not one who's big on sequels. He likes to keep it to the one thing because usually, like most series, if it's not a TV show, a sequel tends to become very trite and just bad.
So in other words, he's pretentious.
Well, they just usually tend to go downhill fast. Not always, but usually. And I guess from what his thing was he just didn't want to get stuck playing the same character, which even though he's for the most part done in a lot of things. But Masks should have been like they should have done for the originally should have done for the second Hellraiser movie. Like the main thing of the mask is the mask, not Stanley Ipkiss. He was the main character of that movie. They should have put the mask in either a completely different time frame in a completely different part of the world and had it done there.
That would have worked too.
That's like when they ended the first Hellraiser movie. Because have y'all seen the first Hellraiser movie?
Yeah.
We'll have to go over it sometime. But the lament configuration gets solved, and they throw it into a fire to basically try to destroy it. Well, a skeleton bird flies, demon bird flies out of the fire carrying it, and that whole thing, and then it goes over to it being like bought by some person in somewhere in the Middle East. And then the second movie brings characters right back from the first movie. It's like, no. The thing about Hellraiser shouldn't have been the main characters of the first movie. I mean, you still had the Cenobites, which are recurring characters, but it should have been how the way things go with the lament configuration of how it's moved, so how it's interacted with different people.
Blue is another. I forget. It's a movie with that very a series with that very concept where it's just this object that keeps moving and keeps going around, and everyone interacts with it differently in each movie. And I cannot remember the name of that series. But I think that should, like you said, that should have been the Hellraiser thing. And I would have loved to seen instead of having a snippet of the French version of the original forging of the lament configuration, if they just did a whole fucking movie about it.
Oh yeah, because like I love the first Hellraiser movie, and I don't even hate the second one. The third one's pretty trash though.
Everything after 3 is pretty trash.
Well, after 3, it is a whole until the most recent thing is they had to create a movie or do something with it to keep the rights of the movie.
And
one of
without
those-
Clive Barker,
Yeah,
it just became ass.
because that's like I know everyone wants to say the guy who played, who essentially became called Pinhead, that he is Pinhead, he is the Hell Priest.
We have such sights to
and
show.
we're mad with the reboot, but a lot of Clive Barker's books that were done on that were about basically his repressed homosexuality. Like, there's a whole weird thing to that one.
Okay.
He's also the one that they kind of made it to where he does have a book to where basically the big bad monster is for the most part an invulnerable giant penis that eats children.
The Leviathan.
Kind of like. But yeah, like the Hell Priestess was supposed to be, or Hell Priest was supposed to be more androgynous. I want to say even Terry said that.
That you call yourself a fan of low budget horror.
I still have to see the rest of the Wishmaster series at some point because the first movie's actually pretty good, in my
Ah,
opinion. Dated
Puppy
graphics, obviously,
Masters.
but that's how a lot of classic horror movies are. That's like I said, a lot of horror sci-fi. Not all of it, but a lot of it's done better on a lower budget because they have shorter constraint, or they have more constraints they have to follow. Because that's like look
Right.
at the Alien series for how they went with like what was it, Prometheus or whatever, to where huge high dollar cast, great effects and everything, but
And
like
it sucked.
90% of the movie makes no fucking sense.
So, all right, this is my thing about modern movies and remakes and shit. Um, some movies are literally lightning in bottles.
Oh yeah,
The Alien series was lightning in a bottle because it was dark and it was claustrophobic and it was moody and it was usually one monster that you had to deal with, and then you learn more about it.
yeah.
When you
Then
put
you had
it outside,
Aliens and that whole thing, and then where it got screwed up was the third because that wasn't the way they originally tended to go with it. Like they originally
yeah,
tended to have the two other survivors of that be an appearance in there, but instead they just fucking killed them
kill them
all.
off. All right, so the I know Newt's character was too old, but I don't remember where I heard this, but there was like they should have just made it where her prior to malfunction and she aged,
Yeah,
but she didn't have the mental age to go with it, and you could have Ripley's character teaching her how to be a woman,
yeah.
which would have been okay.
Well, that's like
And
there's also been reboots that have worked because if you think about it, the Sylvester Stallone Judge Dredd movie it's a cheesy, campy, fun movie, but it's not Judge Dredd.
Yeah,
And
that
then you
he
get the
took
two.
off his helmet too much.
Well, yeah, because it's fucking Sylvester Stallone. He's not going to go through the whole thing where people can't see his face. And then you have the 2012 remake Dredd with Carl Urban, and holy fuck, knocked it out of the park, and people have still been champing at the bit to try to get a second one.
It's
See, I
like
actually like both of those.
Oh, I'm not saying that the original one is bad. That's why I said like it's a cheesy, campy Stallone action movie.
it
It was
really is.
fun.
Like seriously, if they'd have called it something else, they could have done things. Oh yeah, the 1982 was a remake as well of The Thing,
What
and then the 1982 The Thing was an actual remake.
it was?
Yeah.
Yes.
And what's really funny was when they went through that, even though I can't remember the director, but he brought a lot of the original cast from that movie back for part of the premiere and whatnot, because like he was trying to have a thing to where they kind of get a chance to like give their opinion of it. And I think the only person who didn't like it as much was the guy who originally played the Thing.
Mhm.
But see, then you have the whole thing of like having a reboot that ends up having a sequel or whatnot or technically not a sequel. A sequel is actually a prequel for like The Thing, to where they wanted to keep practical effects like they did in the first movie because it was made in fucking 1982. And instead, at the end, you get some stupid ass CGI fucking monster that looked horrendous.
All right, so a shitty remake was fucking RoboCop.
So I still somewhat disagree. I don't think it was great, but I think they went about it the right way for the moment. Because if memory serves me correctly, RoboCop was actually supposed to be more involved with his family in the comic. So they, from what my understanding was, they actually went more true to the comic. Like, it was very similar to the original, but it was uh, it still had its differences. It was different enough, but still similar enough.
So one of the
Like,
concepts that the comics explored was whether it was the man or the machine doing the things.
yeah.
In the movie, in the remake, you clearly it wasn't the machine or it wasn't the man; it was the machine. It
Well,
didn't.
it's again like the same. That's where it has its parallels to the original. In the first movie, Murphy's that whole way until everything happens later on of learning what happened. They still have at some point, Alex Murphy takes over and basically is able to go against the machine. Because if like what they originally wanted for the first RoboCop movie was a machine that just had all of a human's experiences, so it could make choices better. And it was a similar thing to this one, or in the remake. Like, if you want a really shitty remake that we're gonna talk, it's like to talk about a remake, Carrie.
Ugh.
And Carrie is a terrible reason for that because with what the original director, with what the director wanted to do and what they had originally planned, they had planned to do the book made into a film, but they should have fucking said it back in the 70s. But they didn't for some odd reason. But because studios are fucking retarded, because that's where most of your issues tend to come in a lot of cases, studios, it basically got made into a shot-for-shot remake with better graphics. Because that's like the second Carrie movie to where it somehow has like her half-sister, which is absolutely retarded and makes no goddamn sense.
Yeah, that was a really weird.
Although the best thing I will still give for that movie was watching the extras on it, because it still did a lot of practical effects that they had to go through and then do that magic of editing and everything, was the killing of people with the CDs.
Oh yeah.
Because basically each CD wasn't carried on a wire. It was a guy basically that had like I think like the green suit or the stuff that he would wear so he could be taken out of the film easily, and he carried each fucking disc. And of course, because of doing that, he had to fuck with the actors and actresses, and he's just like, "Oh, I'm the killer disc coming to kill you."
Yeah.
And yeah, BG, for the original remake of the thing that the writer didn't write like the gore. That was it. Thank you.
So again, some movies do better as remakes, and I will admit that. Like again, there are some remakes like Dread, and then there are other remakes that are complete their ass and don't need to exist.
Because that's why, like I said, I don't hate the RoboCop remake. They had it just different enough that it wasn't a shot-for-shot remake. But then again, like, I also don't hate the remake of Red Dawn. Now, is it, and this is where I give it kind of mixed reviews and that whole thing. I still think for the original Red Dawn, far too many people are looking upon it through rose-colored glasses.
Mm-hmm.
Now, there were definitely a couple spots and because of how movies are, and like the remake of Red Dawn, when they're opening up on a fucking building with a goddamn mod deuce, basically, so a 50 caliber machine gun, and it's not shredding the building, is ridiculous. But there were some actual really good scenes of like, since everything was, they didn't have a lot of their faces and whatnot, but when one of the attacks went wrong, the dude, because the chick was crying because her friend got killed or something, he takes all their guns and like ditches them over a fence and that whole thing, so they have nothing on them, so even if they got stopped, they don't have anything. So it's like they did and my absolute favorite part that they had in the movie, to where they busted out a Tech 9 and the guy was like, "Oh, these guns are badass," and the Helmsworth that was in it, it's like he shoots from a distance and can't hit the tree that's like 30 feet in front of him. So he walks up closer to then get like a 10-inch group, and it's just like, yeah, they're pieces of shit. Plus, they also have it that like after their first kill, when they go to take the gear from the I can't remember if it's the Koreans or the Chinese in that movie. And the one thing, but like one of the kids after the freaking thing, well, like he froze until after they're done with it, and then he fires and it goes up. But one of the other kids like fucking vomits because they've never killed anyone. So, showing the actual things of what it does to people. If it were to be a person who's never done any of these things, then put in that scenario.
Sometimes you gotta do what you gotta do.
Well, that's why, like I said, there's bad remakes and there's good remakes.
I had a hard time with the Red Dawn, and it's not necessarily rose-colored glasses. Because I have no qualms with the fact that Red Dawn was an absolutely cheesy film. It wasn't like it was not campy or fun. It was fun. I enjoyed it.
It was an America Fuck Yeah movie.
Yeah, it was an 80s action movie with kids as the main role.
Well, teenagers.
And
I only make a differential because I'm still a fan of the fucking Three Ninjas movies, and that's one that has kids as the main heroes.
That one has children.
The latter one has children. The latter one has teenagers. The first couple, 2, 3, has kids.
No, yeah. There are children and there are kids.
Well, if we want to get technical on that whole thing, so we're saying that the Red Dawn was just populated by goats?
Yes.
I couldn't resist.
It was literally coming of age in war.
Oh, yeah.
Entirely hypothetical war, but still.
Well, it was basically a what-if scenario.
Yes.
To where...
But it was...
I think
it was a type of cheat.
Yeah. And, I mean, if you look at it as well, it also followed the thing that, pretty much it's implied that everyone dies. I mean, it's implied Charlie Sheen's character dies.
It was not implied. Everyone died except for the 2 kids that went to Canada. They did not die on screen. But they died.
I was talking about the 2 main brothers that, the main characters.
Yeah.
Because, like, they don't
Charlie Sheen and Patrick Swayze.
Yeah, they don't show Patrick Swayze. They just have, like, his final thing. You lose. But no, like, I'm just saying that I think there's a lot of people that when they see the remake, they tend to think about a lot of what it was remade off of with rose-colored glasses. No, it's not everyone.
Yeah.
There are a lot who will still give it the fair shake, but then there are others that if it has, like, specific actors or anything, or doesn't live up to their exact hype, all of a sudden the thing is just the worst thing ever that could have been done.
Yeah, that I do have a problem with.
Because, like, yes, Jack and Monkey, they don't like the remake of Red Dawn. But that's like, I basically got Jack to admit, I think it was on one of his Sunshine streams or Mr. Jack streams, like, I don't hate the RoboCop reboot, but I don't consider it as good as the original.
It's okay.
And that's the bigger thing that a lot of people have, is because it's not the original, all of a sudden it's just terrible.
I think what Jack's biggest thing is he wants to see something new.
Oh, I can understand that. That's why, like I said, like the Red Dawn remake had enough difference in it to set it aside. It wasn't a updated for modern audiences. It was an updated for modern technology.
Uh,
And instead, they also took one of the brothers. They took him and had him have actual military training. So a lot of the things they were doing made more sense instead of the whole we're gonna stumble as guerrilla fighters. No, since I've actually gone up against guerrilla fighters, I can train you how to be a guerrilla fighter. All the things we were told that we weren't supposed to do, we're going to do. Not all of them, but majority of them. Y'all still there?
Yeah,
I'm
okay.
I'm
Processing?
thinking about what you're saying.
I've never seen either one of those movies, so I can't add anything to it.
Oh, Red Dawn was a favorite when I was a kid. Uh, I, I'm a rewatcher too, so
Well,
uh,
Red Dawn was also the coming off the whole Cold War thing as well, and it was pretty much anti Russia propaganda.
it
Well,
absolutely
not
was.
anti Russia, anti USSR.
Anti-commie.
Yeah, because even though that they had some USSR or or USSR soldiers in there, it was predominantly going up against the Cubans.
You have to love Leah Thompson. What's the capital of Texas?
Yeah, it's been a while
And
since
he
I've
gets
seen.
it right, and she turns around and tells him that he's wrong, that it's actually Houston. Oh.
God damn it.
Because now I'm trying to think of any other movies that I know of that were actually remakes. I mean, there's a fuck ton of them. Like all the different variations of the Yojimbo story. I'm still trying to get Polly to at some point watch Sukiyaki Western Django.
Okay.
It's a predominantly Asian-oriented one. That
No, Wolf Cub is best.
it has Tarantino in it. He's not the director, but he does have a small role in it. But it's just a dumb fun movie in my opinion. That's why I said it's another take on the Yojimbo thing.
Cool.
I'm a big Lone Wolf and Cub fan.
Oh, what?
Lone Wolf and Cub.
Okay.
It's basically it's a samurai who has a son, child. I believe it's his son, and he goes around he to find the killer of his wife. He puts in a little wooden pram with his kid in it, and he fucking kills him. It is a beautiful movie. The books are exquisitely bloody.
I think for a lot of things as well, it's just that too many of the modern movies want to end on
High notes.
They always got to end on a high note, or if it's a horror film, they have to end on was the bad guy killed? I mean, granted, before shit, I think it was sometime in the 70s and whatnot. For American movies, they had to end on a high note. Like the original Invasion of the Body Snatchers, I'm pretty sure I told you guys. They had the whole thing of, oh, this whole thing happened. The cops were oh, we don't know if they'll believe them. And then as they leave the room, they show up with a corpse of one of the body snatchers, and they're just like, well, let's go get them commies, boys.
Yeah, and there are certain movies that needed to end on bleaker
Yes.
endings.
And then some movies, they have end on bleak endings that don't necessarily need it. Sometimes you need to leave it on an open ending to where it's like, well, did they?
Have you ever seen AI? Was it AI? The one with Haley Joel Osment.
It is AI. I love that movie.
It should have ended with him praying to the Blue Fire. It should have been that how it should have ended for him forever praying to the Blue Fire. It should have been a bleaker ending.
It was already a really bleak ending.
Yeah, but it should have ended with him praying and just leave it there. Like aliens come down after 1 trillion years and he gets one perfect day out of magically having like his mother's hair. Like that's cruel.
Sorry.
I don't think I've seen that one.
Like it should have just ended with him forever praying. And
the only AI-ish movies I've seen are the ones with Robin Williams as he goes from being like a robot to a cyborg to a synthetic human.
Bicentennial Man.
And then the one with the I See Dead People kid.
That is the one we're talking about.
Oh.
Yeah, AI.
Then I don't remember it as much.
It wanted to be Blade Runner without wanting it to be Blade Runner. It was a similar concept where it's except for hunting replicants, you have robots that are being discriminated against, like they're put in death pits and shit for amusement.
I felt really bad for Jude Law's character.
The sex bot.
Yeah.
Yeah, I felt bad for him too. But again, it should have just ended. It should have ended with him and Teddy forever praying to that blue fire.
Yeah, like I said, I haven't seen that movie in fucking years. You've abandoned nothing, Johnny? I'm guessing that's a line from the movie or something. But we've devolved into talking remakes and everything. So next week we should be okay. Fuck, I had it up. Wild at Heart. Young lovers Sailor and Luna run into a variety of weirdos that Luna's mom has hired to kill Sailor.
Oh, fun!
Yep. Nicolas Cage, Laura Dern, Willem Dafoe, J.E. Freeman. It's actually got a pretty cool cast from what I'm seeing. Though I don't know as much of actors and directors and everything. Because I don't know. Like, I have an appreciation of movies, and I've watched some channels that go through and go into all of the, like, oh, it costs this much, this is why studios in a lot of cases fuck shit up. And that whole thing, because it's usually studios that cause shit to get fucked up. But I just don't care to get into all that because I'm not that into movies. But I've got the links to everyone for typically their Twitter or channels. I'm not going to try to get into everything of showing like that, and I will switch that back over to this.
I'll do the shilling for all of us.
I mean, we got it that, like, there's a whole bunch of stuff to where you can find us, and we're not as bad as, Terry Diamantis to where he's on. I mean, it's shorter to list the streams he's not on.
Yeah.
And that whole thing. Well, for everyone who's watched, appreciate you watching. Any final words to go off with, Tier?
No, I got nothing.
Angela, you got anything?
Have a good night and go to the theater.
James, you still with us, or you taking care of stuff? I think you might be taking care of stuff.
Taking care of business.
Yep.
He was taking care of business every day.
He is
Sorry.
battening down the hatches.
Yep. He's just trying to make sure he doesn't get
Taken to the land of Oz.
damage.
Oh, I guess I should have just used this one for that one.
Emotional damage.
Yeah, Andrew, you gonna call James and they're gonna say, "Help! I'm in Munchkinland."
I live in Oz, dude.
Otherwise, I still gotta figure out how I'm gonna do that second dramatic Twitter reading. I gotta get a hold of my buddy who was in there to kind of get approval for how I'm gonna do his voice and that. But hopefully, y'all have a good week. It is Memorial Day, as I said in my Rotn Explains Things Probably Poorly. If you drink today, have a drink for those who have fallen. You don't always need to have the silence. Just try not to be a raging cunt.
And be safe.
Yeah.
Pour one out for our fallen heroes. I get it.
Yeah. Oh, I ain't even saying pour one out. I'm saying have a shot for one of them or whatnot, because I can guarantee you there were some partiers amongst them that would have towed shit up.
You know what? I might swing by a liquor store, get me a bottle of Southern Comfort, and have me a Southern iced tea.
Because the reason why I say don't do the whole like pour one out for my homies is because there's a lot of people that were in the military that will look you dead in the face and say that's alcohol abuse.
Damn.
But I hope you all have a good one. Like I said, have a happy Memorial Day. And I'm going to get out of here and do something. I don't know exactly what. Take it easy, y'all.